नमस्कृत्यां नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासां ततो जयाउदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवतमुत्तम श्लोकं भक्तिर्भवतिर्नैष्टिकी ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। So last week we had some discussion on the setting of the scene for the prayers by Kunti Devi, and we also had some discussion about prayers, the anatomy of prayers, the relevance of prayers, etc. So after having studied the theory behind the prayers, we will now see it in action, in practice. And these prayers by Queen Kunti Devi are a very special demonstration of how devotees pray, the mood of the devotees as they approach Krishna. So I'll talk a little bit about Kunti Charitam because she is the speaker of the prayer, and to appreciate her words, it's important for us to appreciate her also. So Kunti Devi appears in the Mahabharata as the daughter of Shurasen, and at birth her name was Pritha. So when she was born, she was given, or she was adopted by a cousin of Shurasen who was childless. His name was Kunti Bhoj. And that's how she got the name Kunti. So Kunti Bhoj himself was a great king, a Maharathi. He's mentioned as one of the 10 great Maharathis in Bhagavad Gita. Purujit Kunti Bhojascha, Shaivyascha Narapungava. And in the Mahabharata, he was ultimately killed in battle by Drona. So, being the daughter of Shurasen, Kunti Devi is the sister of Vasudeva, and thus she is the paternal aunt of Krishna. And some of the pastimes of Kunti we know very well. There is the pastime of Durvasha Rishi, who came to the kingdom of Shurasen, to the palace of Shurasen, and Kunti Devi served him so nicely that he gave her this mystic mantra by which she could summon the demigods for the purpose of having a child. And that's how Karna was born before her marriage. And after her marriage, on the request of Pandu, the three Pandavas, Yudhishthir, Bhim, and Arjuna are born. And then on the request of her husband, she gives the mantra to Madri, and Nakul and Sahadev are born from the Ashwini Kumars. In the Mahabharata, she is also shown as having a very close relationship with both Gandhari and Dhritarashtra. And it's a little counterintuitive because their sons were fighting and killing one another. But it also goes to show her detachment, that she knew that Dhritarashtra was, because of his love for his son, was allowing all this to happen even before the battle of Mahabharata, the various things that Duryodhan did. But she was still very respectful of Dhritarashtra and very, very affectionate to Gandhari. In fact, it's not said in the Bhagavatam, but in the Mahabharata it is mentioned that when Dhritarashtra he leaves by the preaching of Vidur, when he quits home and he goes to the forest along with Gandhari, then Kunti Devi also accompanies him to the forest. And after Dhritarashtra and Gandhari leave their body, Kunti Devi also leaves her body there. So she's considered to be a pure devotee of the Lord, very, very frugal, very austere. It is said that after her husband passed away, she lived a very austere life, eating very, very sparsely, living very, very simply. In the Nectar of Devotion, she is considered to be seventh in the list of the most exalted devotees in Vatsalya Ras. So in chapter 43 of NOD, Srila Rupa Goswami, when he talks about Vatsalya Ras, then he mentions 9 devotees who are specially advanced. And he mentions that as a list. So in the order of their, I guess, descending advancement. So the most advanced is considered to be, not a surprise, Yashoda Mata. The second is Nanda Baba. The third is Rohini, the mother of Balaram. The fourth is the elderly gopis whose sons were taken away by Lord Brahma. So if you remember the Brahma Vimohan Leela, all the gopas that were kidnapped by Lord Brahma, Krishna expanded to become them. And for full 1 year, these fortunate gopis had Krishna as their own son. So these are the 4 in Vrajdham. So we have Yashoda, Nand, Rohini, and the gopis who had Krishna as their son during Brahma Vimohan Leela. Then in Dwarka, we have Devaki, the wife of Vasudeva. Then we have the other 15 wives of Vasudeva. Vasudeva had 16 wives. And other than Devaki, the other 15 wives were also very, very affectionate to Krishna. They considered him to be just like his son. Then the 7th is Kunti Devi, the mother of Arjun. The 8th is Vasudeva, the real father of Krishna. And the 9th is Sandipani Muni, who is Krishna's teachers. And all these are respected elderly personalities with Vatsalya Ras for Krishna. And the acharyas, of course, say that even though the list is there to show levels of perfection, one should not consider one to be inferior than the other. It is just perfect, more perfect, and most perfect. So the prayers from such an exalted devotee as Kunti Devi's are very instructive. And again, in the NOD, Kunti Devi appears demonstrating this Vatsalya Ras in separation. So there she says to Akrura, "My dear brother Akrura, my nephew Mukunda is long absent from us. Will you kindly tell him that his aunt Kunti is sitting among the enemy and would like to know when she will be able to see his lotus face again." And similarly, these prayers that are recited by Kunti Devi embody both the perfection of her as a devotee and the perfection of her who is in this particular rasa, this Vatsalya ras with Krishna. So before the battle of Mahabharata had started, Kunti Devi had asked Krishna for a promise that he would return with 5 of her sons. And Krishna had given that promise. So when Mahabharata was over and all the 5 Pandavas were alive, and Kunti Devi was very happy with Krishna. And then she gave him this benediction. She said that in the course of time, the sun may become cold or the moon may become hot, but your promise will never fail. And Krishna accepted this benediction with gratitude. So that's the power of a devotee, that they can give benedictions to the Lord, and the Lord accepts it with genuine humility. And then we can compare this to Gandhari. Even though Gandhari was also, in her own way, a devotee, but if you remember that after the Mahabharata was over, then Krishna went to meet Gandhari, and Gandhari cursed Krishna. That just like you are the cause of the annihilation of my dynasty, may your dynasty also be annihilated. And then Krishna accepted that curse also. So in this prayers of Queen Kunti, we will see all the four elements appearing. We had discussed that prayers had four elements: the glorification of Lord, humility about one's position, asking for benediction, and asking for forgiveness. So we will see all these four elements appear at different points of time. And as we had mentioned, Kunti's Devi's prayers are in the mood of Samprarthatmika, which is basically considered to be the prayers to establish relationship with Krishna. Okay, so we'll start with the first verse, 1:8-17. Brahma teja vinirmukte ratmaja sah krishnaya prayana vimukham krishnam idamma prathasati. Thus saved from the radiation of Brahmastra, Kunti, the chaste devotee of the Lord, and her 5 sons and Draupadi addressed Lord Krishna as he started from home. Previously, we had seen that Uttara was facing imminent extinction of the embryo in her womb by the Brahmastra. And then she approached Krishna and said, Pahi Pahi Mahayogi, that please save me, O greatest of the yogi. And then we see how Krishna, he protects the womb of Uttara and also simultaneously protects the 5 Pandavas. So this verse begins with Brahmatejo Vinirmukter, which translates to save from the radiation of the Brahmastra. So it basically is pointing to the time after that. So the phrase of Brahmatejo Vinirmukter is coming right before Atmaja. So Atmaja translates to the sons of Kunti Devi, which is the 5 Pandavas, and can also include Parikshit because he is also in the category of a son. He's actually grandson, but still in the category of son. So in that translation, in that context, the translation would read as Kunti Devi, along with her sons, who were saved from the fire of the Brahmastra. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur uses this translation. Srila Prabhupada translates to convey a slightly different rendering of the incident. So his translation reads as, thus saved from the radiation of the Brahmastra, Kunti and her 5 sons. So he is including Kunti Devi also amongst those who have been saved from the Brahmastra. So factually speaking, Kunti Devi was not attacked by the Brahmastra, just like Uttara was not attacked by the Brahmastra. But we still consider that Uttara was saved by Krishna. And the reason being that Krishna saved Parishit Maharaj, who was essentially the life of Uttara. And similarly, Krishna saved the Pandavas, the sons of Kunti Devi, who were her family lineage, her very, very life. So one can assume that Kunti Devi felt as much rescued by Krishna as did Uttara. And Prabhupada uses this translation to establish the context for the prayers, that one can get a sense of the gratitude that Kunti Devi was experienced towards Krishna. That not only had he saved Parikshit, not only had he saved Pandavas, he had saved her very life. So beginning from the next verse, we will see the wonderful recitations by Kunti Devi, and they're very deep with the realization. And one thing that we will see is how it brings forth the loving relationship between Krishna and his pure devotee. And these prayers of Kunti Devi are special to us because they're special to Srila Prabhupada. So as I mentioned that when Prabhupada was returning to India from New York after his third heart attack, in his mind he was ready to die. And then his secretary was at the time was Brahmanand Swami, and Brahmanand Swami asked him what can he do for him. And Srila Prabhupada said that you sit and chant the prayers of Kunti Devi for me. And later on in 1974, when Prabhupada again became very sick, and at that time also Brahmanand happened to be his secretary, and Prabhupada gave the exact same instruction, saying that you chant the prayers of Kunti Devi. And Srila Prabhupada himself was very attached. His servants would say that when Prabhupada was alone and in a meditative mood, then he would sit on the harmonium, and in a very, very slow and meditative way he would sing these prayers. So they're special to us also because they're special to our founder Acharya, and they're special to us because they're imbued with deep knowledge and realization. So coming back to the verse, so after Krishna protects Uttara, he is about to leave. It says Prayan Krishnam, and at this time Kunti Devi Abhimukham approaches him. Mukham means face. That means literally means comes in front of his face, but it's not like she's in his face. But Abhimukham means that she comes in front of him. She approaches him, and we see that Prabhupada says that Sutta Goswami says Atmaja Saha Krishnaya, which means that Kunti Devi is offering the prayers along with the Pandavas and Draupadi. So one can extend this and also understand that when you read the prayers, then Kunti Devi is also offering these prayers along with us. Just like she's offering prayers with her sons and her daughter-in-law, when we read the prayers, then we are also part of the group that is standing behind Kunti Devi while she's offering the prayers. And the mood of the prayer is that of, so there are two moods. There are two moods that are prominent in the prayer. One is that of gratitude, that Krishna had just saved, and the second is that of imminent separation, because Krishna is now sitting on the chariot ready to leave. So it is said that the grief of imminent separation is much stronger than that of eventual separation. So it's like your friend comes and meets you, and you know that the friend is going to go in a week's time. So there is some pulling of the heart, there is some grief that my friend will leave. But the exact moment when the friend leaves, that grief is the strongest. So it's not that they did not know, or the person does not know that my friend is leaving, but that moment is like a lens which focuses that sense of separation. Similarly, it is said that when a woman is getting married, when the whole family initially is happy and they are busy, they are arranging for the marriage, they know that when the woman gets married, when the girl gets married, she will go with her husband. But at the exact moment when she goes with her husband, the grief at that time is strongest. So that is why Suta Goswami, he clearly enunciates this scene where Krishna is sitting on the chariot, he is heading to Dwarka, and separation is imminent. So the grief of the separation, mixed with the gratitude of Krishna protecting them, forms the basis of these prayers. Okay. Some more points in this. So we see that Sutta Goswami, he calls Kunti as Sati or chaste. And typically the word Sati is used in the context of a wife's devotion to her husband. In this context, it is used for Kunti's unalloyed devotion to Krishna. So what does it mean to be a chaste devotee of Krishna? And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharman Parityaja. So that is one of the primary considerations. But just like a wife who is chaste accepts her husband as her everything, as a protector, as a provider, as the source of pleasure, as the constant companion. So similarly, the unalloyed devotee of Krishna accepts Krishna as everything. A particular mood may be more dominant, but the sense of protection is complete. In the second canto, Sukadev says to Parikshit that I will describe to you the Bhagavatam because you are Mukunda Mati Sati. Same connotation, that because your mind is very chaste to Krishna. So this chastity to Krishna is is brought out over here because it is a quality that makes the prayers of Kunti Devi very special, that they are being recited by a chaste devotee of Krishna. It is a quality that is important in the audience to this prayer, that one listens to this prayers in a chaste way, and it also results in increasing the chastity of the person who hears this. So once Mukunda Mati Sati increases, once the chastity of one's mind in Mukunda increases. And this quality of chastity, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu held it as very, very important. Once Shripad Vallabhacharya, he came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he had written his own commentary on the Bhagavatam, and to Mahaprabhu he boasted, saying that my commentary is superior to that of Sridhar Maharaj. And Mahaprabhu did not like that comment at all, and he made the statement that one who rejects his Swami is like a prostitute, is unchaste. And of course, Mahaprabhu is using Swami in two ways. So a wife who rejects her Swami is also a husband. A wife who rejects her husband is a prostitute, and a disciple who rejects the Guru is like a prostitute. So Sridhar Swami. So Mahaprabhu uses the word Swami in this way. And Srila Prabhupada, he himself demonstrated that. He was very chaste to the instructions of his own Guru Maharaj, and he also valued the chastity of his own disciples. So once this is the early days, there was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada called Nitai Das. And he came to Vrindavan, and there he met the Babas, and he got bewildered. So then some Baba said, I'll give you initiation. So Nitai went to Prabhupada, and he told Prabhupada that I'm taking Babaji initiation from this Brajvasi. I want your blessings. And Prabhupada said that I curse you, that you will not get a guru for one day of Brahma. And people thought that it was Prabhupada was being spiteful or heavy, but actually he was using that to make this point that very important to be chaste. So for a disciple, chastity means following the instructions, repeating the words, not deviating from the philosophy. And Prabhupada knew that that was the basis on which the parampara would actually last for the next 10,000 years. So that is why he wanted to establish a strong foundation. So the next verse starts with Kunti Vacha, but before we start that, I'll take a pause and see if there are any questions or comments.
One comment, Prabhuji. Just would like to. It just reminds me that Krishna, at few instances in Bhagavad Gita, mentioned about Avyabhichara Bhakti, which is also like not prostitutional to literally translate. So that is also is a chastity that Krishna is expecting from us. In
Yes.
terms of,
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Anything else? Okay, so we'll do the next verse. Namasya purusham tvadyam ishwaram prakrate param alaksham sarva bhutanam antarbahiravastitam. Srimati Kunti said, O Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you because you are the original personality and are unaffected by the qualities of the material world. You are existing both within and without everything. Yet, you are invisible to all. So, being the first verse of the prayer, this is also the foundation of the prayer, and very, very deep in the points that Kunti Devi makes in this verse. So, so wanted to share a Prabhupada pastime before we delve into this verse, which is of course relevant to the purport of this verse. So, one time Srila Prabhupada, he was visited by a Chaturvedi Brahman, and Chaturvedi is one who has studied all the four Vedas. And in the course of the conversation, Prabhupada asked him that what is the conclusion of the four Vedas in terms of who the personality of Godhead is. And the Brahman, he got flustered. And he said, oh, how can I give short, in one sentence, the conclusion? The Vedas say many things. There are many conclusions. You have to think from this perspective. So close by, there were small devotee children, Western devotee children, who were playing. And then Prabhupada took a sweet in his hand, and then he called the children over. And he asked the children, who is God? And the children said, Krishna. And Prabhupada gave them the sweet. So Prabhupada turned to the Brahman and said that, see, that is the knowing of the real conclusion of the four Vedas. So these prayers by Kunti Devi are special because they reveal the conclusion of the Vedas. They reveal directly to us the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this verse, we see that Kunti Devi addresses Krishna by 6 different names. So she says Purusham, which is Supreme Person, Adyam, original, Ishwaram, and Ishwaram has 2 meanings, the controller and the supreme, Prakrate Param, beyond the material cosmos, Alakshayam, Sarva Bhutana, that invisible to all beings, and Antabahi Avasthita, they're existing within and outside. So, wanted to qualify that not 6 names of Krishna, but 6 qualities or 6 attributes of Krishna. Purusha Madhyam Ishwaram Prakrite Param Alakshayam Sarva Bhutanam Antavahi Avasthitam. So, why is Kunti Devi using these particular 6 names? That is she just so happy that she is repeating herself, which is of course part of the answer. But again, when a person of a caliber of Kunti Devi speaks, then every word has a certain importance in it. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he uses, and we have seen that in the past, that he uses this technique of an interplay of conversation to bring forth the more intricate meanings of the verse. So these implied conversations, they don't really happen, but in a way they happen uh, uh, because the people who are talking to one another share a lot of context. It's like a person going to another it's like a father going to a son and saying, "Where is mother?" Now the son will immediately know that the father is talking about his wife because of that relationship, that the father is talking to the son. So when he says, "Where is mother?" he is obviously asking for the mother of the son. Now there could be an implied conversation over here. Where is mother? So the son might say, "Which mother are you referring to?" The father will say, "I'm referring to your mother." And then the son will basically say, "Okay, she's over here." So that conversation happens, but it is subsumed in the context. So Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he establishes this conversation. So what I'll do is I'll first go over the conversation so that you get a sense of the flow of the conversation, and then we look into the import of the conversation. What does it actually imply? So Kunti Devi starts the verse with Namaskaya. And Krishna says, "I'm your nephew. Why are you offering me respects?" Kunti Devi says, "Purusham tva," because you are the supreme person. Krishna says, "Of course, I am a man, Purusham. Is there any doubt in that?" Kunti Devi says, "You are Adyam, the original person." Krishna says, "Well, all bodies come and go. All souls are Adyam. All souls are original." And Kunti Devi says, "But you are Ishwaram, supreme." Krishna says, "Oh, in Swarga, Indra and Soma, and on earth, the kings are Ishwaram. They are the controllers." Kunti Devi says, "But you are superior to Prakriti. You are Prakriti Param." So Krishna says, "You are saying that I am Paramatma, the person within everyone?" Kunti Devi says, "The Paramatma inside everyone, Sarva Bhutanam, can be revealed by the use of intelligence and other means. But you are Alakshayam. You are imperceptible." So Krishna says, "So am I the imperceptible Brahman?" Kunti Devi says, "No. You are situated internally and externally. Antabahi Avasthita." So if you look at the way that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has crafted the conversation, the words that are spoken by Kunti Devi appear in the verse, and the words that are spoken by Krishna are interpolated. So let's look at it in a slightly more analytical perspective. So Kunti Devi started with Namashaya, that offering obeisances. So in normal circumstances, a younger person offers respects to the older. But here we see the opposite. The Kunti Devi is the aunt, like a mother, yet she is offering respects to Krishna. Why is that? Because she understands that Krishna is God. So as a sati, as a chaste devotee, Kunti Devi first and foremost establishes this tattva, that Krishna is God, so that there is no, later on, there is no ambiguity that who are these prayers meant for. So Kunti Devi will speak about many qualities, many pastimes, but right from the beginning, she wants to say all these are related to Krishna, who is the personality of Godhead. And we see the same in prayers that tend to be intimate, because intimate prayers sometimes bewilder people. So the person who prays will establish first the tattva. That, for instance, Damodarashtakam. So what does Damodarashtakam begin with? Namam Ishwaram Sachidananda Rupam. Right. And then after that, Lasat Kundalam. So if you look at the two lines, they don't seem to be in the same mood. At first you're saying Namam Ishwaram, that the personality of Godhead, who is the controller. And then you say Lasat Kundalam, that is the more childlike personality, pastimes. That he has earrings on his ear, Yashoda Bhiolu, that out of fear of Yashoda he ran. And the reason that Satyavrata Muni makes this point is to say that what you will see later on, don't confuse them as the pastimes of a child. This child is Namam Ishwaram. He is worshipable as the personality of Godhead. Similarly, if you read the description of rasa dance recited by Sukadev Goswami, so this is 10th canto, chapter 29. The very first verse begins with Bhagwan api taratri. So the very first word is Bhagwan api taratri, that the supreme personality of Godhead looking at the night. So Sukadev Goswami again wants to make sure that what you will see later on may bewilder you. The intimate conjugal pastimes of Krishna with gopis, but be established in the tattva that we are speaking about Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. So in the same way, Kunti Devi is starting with Namashaye, that I am offering my obeisances to the supreme personality of Godhead. So then Krishna, and we'll go through the conversation with, like I said, deeper explanation. Krishna then said, I'm your nephew. Why are you offering me respects? So Krishna is pointing out to the more evident aspect of the relationship. Like Kunti Devi is the sister of Vasudeva, the father of Krishna. She is older than him. So in such a relationship, he should be the one offering obeisances to her, not the other way around. So Kunti Devi says, you are Purusham. You are the supreme person. So this is the first explicit qualification that Kunti Devi offers to Krishna, that he is Purusham. And Purusham literally translates to enjoyer, but in the Vedas, there are several places where Krishna is referred to as Purusham. In Bhagavad Gita 8.8, he is referred to as Adi Purusham. In Brahma Samhita and Bhagavatam 5.19.1, he is referred to as Mahapurusham or Purna Purusham. So Krishna at this point says that, of course, I'm a Purusham, I'm a man. Is there any doubt of it? So Krishna is using the more literal translation of Purusham, which just means Purush. Purush means man. So then Kunti Devi, she qualifies it. So she says, Purusham Twadeyam. So now what Kunti Devi has done, that she has qualified her Namashya Purusham with Twadiyam. That let me offer my obeisances to you, Twa, who is Adyam, the original Purusham. So Adi means original, or it means that one who has no origin. So if you look at this phrase, that Namastaye Purusham Twadyam, it is almost identical to a phrase that we are very familiar with, that we repeat very often, and that is the phrase that appears in Brahma Samhita, which is Govindam Adi Purusham. So Purusham Twadyam is and we can parse the word that when Kunti Devi says Purusham Twadyam, Lord Brahma is saying Govindam Adi Purusham. And when Kunti Devi says Namashaye, then Lord Brahma is saying Tamaham Bhajami. But the Acharyas, and this is more in a mood of joking, they say that Lord Brahma had to perform severe austerities for 1000 years before he became qualified to recite these prayers, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. But Kunti Devi, right from the beginning, she is saying that Namashaye Purusham Twanti. So Krishna listens to it, saying that, okay, Kunti Devi, you're saying that I am Purusham Twadyam, but actually all the souls are also Adyam. The souls also have no origin. So therefore there is no reason for you to give obeisances to me, because you are also Adyam. I am also Adyam. No need to give obeisances. Kunti Devi says, but you are Ishwaram. You are supreme. So Kunti Devi agrees to the commonality that yes, we are all Adyam, but amongst all the Adyams, there is one Adyam that is special, and that is you. Does anybody remember a verse which talks about the one Adyam, the one eternal, being special amongst all the eternals?
Ishvara Parama Krishna.
Okay. Anything else?
Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarna Karna. Last two lines. He is the cause of all causes. Although we are all Anadiradir.
Okay. So I think my question was a little different. Anyway, somebody else also. Yes, Mataji.
From Brahma Samhita as well, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That's what I think I was saying.
Okay. I think my question was not put forth clearly. So the point I was making was that Kunti Devi at this point is trying to distinguish one eternal amongst all the eternals. And yes, she is saying that you are Ishwaram, but this tattva is actually one of Prabhupada's favorite verse. It comes in Katha Upanishad. Nitya Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bhavanam Yo Vidati Kaman. That amongst all the eternals, there is one eternal. Amongst all the conscious beings, there is one conscious. Eko Bhavanam Yo Vidati Kaman. And the relationship is that one is fulfilling the desires of everybody else. And similarly, in Ishopanishad, the invocation verse also points to the same. The Om Purnamada Purnamidam, that from one complete there are many completes that are coming on, but the one complete never gets depleted. So Kunti Devi is pointing to that distinction by using the word Ishvara. She's pointing to that distinction that you are the supreme amongst all the Adyas. So Krishna purposefully, he misinterprets Ishwaram to be controller, which is another meaning of Ishwar. So he says, oh, in Swarga, Indra and Soma, and on earth, the kings are also Ishwaram. They are also controllers. And since I am also a king and a prince, I am a controller in that way. So Kunti Devi says, no, you are Prakriti Param. So she makes this distinction that Indra and Soma and the kings and everybody else is not controlled, is controlled by Prakriti, but you are the controller of Prakriti. And this superiority of Krishna over Prakriti, it's in Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned several times, 7:14 being the most famous verse. In Svetaswara Upanishad, it is said, Mayam tu Prakritim Vidyan, Mayinam cha Maheshwaram. That know that Prakriti is Maya itself and Krishna is the Lord of it. So I like this verse because it also, sometimes, at one point somebody asked me that where is it said that Maya is Prakriti? And the direct correlation is not, I couldn't find the correlation until I found this verse. Mayam tu Prakratim Vidyan, Mayinam cha Maheshwaram. So in response to this, where Kunti Devi says Prakriti Param, Krishna says, so you are saying that I am Paramatma, the person within everyone. So at this point, Krishna is accepting his divinity. So he's saying that, so you're saying I am Paramatma. Now one can still say that not everybody is controlled by Prakriti. The liberated souls, they're not controlled by Prakriti. So they can be in this category also. But the distinction is that while they are not controlled by Maya, they are not controllers of Maya. So because Kunti Devi said that you are Prakriti Param, so Prakriti Param means superior to Prakriti. Prakriti Param also means that you control Prakriti. So that is the unique position of Krishna. So that, in addition to the other criteria that Kunti Devi has established, that Adi Purusham, Parameshwaram. So Krishna, he digests that and then he says, okay, since in Bhagavad Gita 18:61, I myself said, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hideshtu Arjuna Tishtati, that as the Supreme Lord, as the Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam, I am situated in everybody's heart. So I think what you're saying, Kunti, or Kunti Devi, or Kunti, Aunt Kunti, I think what you're saying is that I am Paramatma. So Kunti Devi says the Paramatma inside everyone, Sarva Bhutanam, can be revealed by the use of intelligence and other means. But you are alakshaya. You are imperceptible. So Kunti Devi is making some further distinctions that the yogis, they can attain the Paramatma. So in Bhagavad Gita 6:31, it says, Sarva Bhuta Sitam Yom Mam Bhajate Ekatvam Astita Sarvata Vartamanopi Sa Yogi Mai Vartati. That the yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the Supersoul, knowing that I and the Supersoul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. But Kunti Devi is saying that you are more subtle than that. The yogis can attain the Paramatma through the practice of yoga. But you're alaksham sarva bhutana, that you're invisible to all living entities. And the same point is made by Lord Brahma in the Brahma Samhita, where he says, Pantastu koti satavatsara sampragamyo vayorathapi manuso muni pungavanam swapastiyat prapada shimini vichintayatatve govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Where he says that, Lord Brahma says that the greatest of the yogis can only approach the tip of the toe of the lotus feet of Krishna by the process of pranayama. Or the jnanis can only find out about the Brahman after thousands and millions of years. But Krishna cannot be approached. So when Kunti Devi says, you're alakshayam sarva bhutanam, Krishna uses the term alakshyam to mean that one who has no lakshan. So lakshan is perceptible symptoms. So he says, so if I'm alakshyam, does that mean I am the Brahman? And then Kunti Devi says, no. You are alakshyam and also you are antabahi avasthitam. That you are situated inside and outside. So antabahi avasthitam is used to distinguish because the Brahman is only situated outside. The Paramatma is inside, but the Brahman is outside. So when Krishna said, I'm Paramatma, he said, no, you're Alakshya. When he said, you are Brahman, and Kunti Devi says, no, you are inside and you are outside. So the Acharyas say that the intelligence of a devotee is more than the intelligence of Krishna. Because Kunti Devi is so expertly pinning down Krishna. And of course, Krishna is not speaking here. But if he was speaking, then we see that how Kunti Devi, by describing these qualities of Krishna, has brought us to a point where the only person that can be described by these qualities is Krishna. And specifically, the Antarbahir Avastita, it also invokes the Achintaya Shakti of Krishna. Now, how can somebody be outside and inside? Why? Because Krishna is inconceivable. So Jiva Goswami, he says that unless we incorporate the concept of Achintaya in the conception of God, we cannot understand him. And Prabhupada, towards the end of the purport, he makes the same point. Kunti Devi affirms that the Lord, though both within and without all living beings, is still invisible. The Lord is, so to speak, a puzzle for the common man. Queen Kunti experienced personally that Lord Krishna was present before her, yet he entered within the womb of Uttara to save her embryo from the attack of Ashwathama's Brahmastra. Kunti herself was puzzled about whether Sri Krishna is all-pervasive or localized. In fact, he is both, but he reserves the right of not being exposed to persons who are not surrendered souls. This checking curtain is called the Maya energy of the Supreme Lord, and it controls the limited vision of the rebellious soul. So, the mood behind that of non-devotees and the prayers of devotees may be externally the same, but internally they are different. The non-devotees are unable to understand that Krishna is Achintaya, that he can be both inside and outside at the same time. And this they do under the influence of Mahamaya, the bewildering potency of Krishna. And the devotees, they may also be puzzled that Krishna is both inside and outside, but that is under the influence of Yogamaya. And where do we see this in action? We see this in action in the pastime of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That he was looking for Krishna everywhere, even though Krishna was there, even though he was Krishna. Or as a devotee, he had Krishna in his heart. So just to conclude, Kunti Devi, she has an interesting problem to solve. That in defining God, as we see earlier on in the Bhagavatam, generally the acharyas, they go from material to spiritual. They go from the Virat Roop, which is seeing spirit and matter. They go then to the Brahmajyoti, seeing spirit and spirit. Ultimately, then they go to Krishna, Swayam Bhagwan. But Kunti Devi had Krishna Swayam Bhagwan standing right in front of her. So he was standing in his two-armed form, in his original form as Swayam Bhagwan, and she had to point to his divinity. So she had to convince that the personality of Godhead standing in front of her is actually the personality of Godhead. So she does so by pointing that he's Purusham Tvadyam. That this is the personality of Godhead, Ishwaram. That he contains within him Lord Vishnu. That he is Prakriti Param. That he is the Paramatma. And Alakshyam Sarva Bhutana. That he is the Brahman. And Antabahir Avasthitam. And at the end of the day, he is a complete mystery. So we see Arjun also having the same situation, that he has Krishna standing in front of him. And we see that Arjun also approaches that first he asks Krishna about his vibhutis, how to see Krishna in matter. Then he asks Krishna to show his universal form, that how to see matter within Krishna. And then finally, he glorifies Krishna as the personality of Godhead. So why does Kunti Devi do this? So she does this to make the point that the person standing in front of her is not her nephew. She's not glorifying him because she is attached to him like a mother. Sometimes mothers are very affectionate to the child and they will glorify them. So not because of that. But she's establishing both the nomenclature and the reference for other devotees to establish this point. That this is Krishna Tattva. And she ends with saying that even though I'm trying to make this point is bewildering. It is still Achintya. So I will stop at this point and see if there are any questions or comments.
Prabhuji, I am trying to understand, like, in this Alaksham Sarva Bhutanam, right? Like, which is Brahman, and then it is said Antarbahir. So, like, is it? So, does it mean that Brahman is like only internal? Like, how it is? Why was that countered by Antarbahir?
Antarbahir, right? Because when you consider Brahman, so when Kunti Devi says your Alaksham, Sarvabhutanam, that you cannot be seen, Krishna interprets it differently. So Lakshanam is also qualities, gunas. So he says Alaksham means I am Nirgun. I have no qualities, which is another definition of Brahman. So that is why he says, so I am the imperceptible Brahman. But the Brahman is present all around you. Brahman is everything that is around you. So Kunti Devi makes the distinction that you are inside as well as outside. So she makes this to make one immediate point and one reference point. So the immediate point she makes is, no, you're not the Brahman, because the Brahman is outside, but you're also inside. And the reference point that she makes is that you're both inside and outside, so you're Achintya. So I have given all this nomenclature for one to understand Krishna Tattva, but at the end of the day, only by understanding that Krishna is Achintya can one understand Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. One question, Prabhuji. Here, Alaksham refers to the impersonal feature Brahman, which is outside, which is around the soul, as I am understanding. So inside and outside, Antarbahir Avasthitam, does it mean that Krishna is inside our soul itself? That is one question.
It's not inside the soul. So Kunti Devi is talking from the perspective of being embodied. So like, when Sarvasya Chaham Hridhi Sanivishto, right? So when the Paramatma is mentioned, so it is mentioned in the context of an embodied soul.
Prabhuji, still I couldn't understand if possible. Can you little bit elaborate?
Can you explain your question a little bit more?
So my question is, Alaksham is Brahman, which is all around us, but Antar Bahir means he exists both inside and outside. So, so inside how Krishna exists, is it super soul? Is that, but not that super soul is Sarvabhutam. That's where I'm a bit confused. What is inside and outside means? Inside the body or inside the soul?
No, not inside the soul. So that's the point I made, right? That Kunti Devi is speaking from the platform of an embodied soul, not from a platform of a pure spirit soul. So when she says Antar Bahir, then she is referring to the reference point being the body, that you are inside the body as well as you are outside the body. And again, she makes that to distinguish. So when she says Alakshayam, and Krishna misinterprets that to say that does that mean that I am Brahman? And then she says no, Brahman is only outside, but you are inside also as Paramatma.
And one more question in the same line, Prabhuji, like Sarvabhutanam, like that refers to as super soul. Krishna is there in all living entities.
So the term Sarvabhutanam actually gets associated with both the descriptions. So it also is Alaksha Sarvabhutanam, that you are imperceptible to all beings. It also gets associated with the Antar Bahir Sarvabhutana, that you are inside and outside all living entities. The subsequent verses are not that dense. It gets a little easier later on, but the introductory verse, Kunti Devi, she put in a lot, because again, when you build a house, you want to have a strong foundation. So Kunti Devi is building the foundation in this verse. And the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, they spend a lot of time to explain why Kunti Devi is using these 6 attributes. She could have used so many other attributes, but if you follow through the conversation applying these 6 attributes, then what you get outside at the end of this is Krishna and Krishna only. So from a higher level, we can understand that what this verse proves, that Krishna is the personality of Godhead, and everything that is spoken later on is in reference to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How she does it is basically through the use of these qualities that successively distill everybody, and only Krishna remains.
Then at what reference did we make the intelligence of a devotee is higher than the intelligence of Krishna?
Yeah.
Prabhu?
That is more of humor, that you see that Krishna is trying to defeat Kunti Devi, right? So Kunti Devi says one thing, and Krishna says that I'm your nephew, and then she says no, you're Purusha, and Kunti Devi, and he says I'm a man. So everything that Krishna says, Kunti Devi is able to negate him. So the Acharya just say that more in humor.
Only negative.
Yeah.
And Prabhuji, you are mentioning that like generally Acharyas explain Krishna's qualities or greatness from the material connotation to the spiritual connotation, but Kunti Devi, how she is referring, that part I couldn't grasp it.
So Kunti Devi's problem is that, not problem, but Kunti Devi's situation is that she has Krishna Swayam Bhagavan standing in front. So let's assume that she was just a philosopher trying to explain the notion of Krishna. So she would explain as Arjun does, that see Krishna in matter, see him as the taste of the water, see him as the light of the sun, and they can look around and see. And then he would go to the next level and say that see the whole universe within Krishna. That the eyes are his sun, the eyes and the moon, the fire is this, the rivers are his veins. Like in the Bhagavatam earlier on, we did that. And then comes to the more personal aspect of Krishna as Vishnu, and then finally as the personality of Godhead. And Kunti Devi has the opposite scenario. That Krishna as the personality of Godhead is standing right in front of him. And then she has to say that this person is actually God. He's not just an ordinary person standing over here. Right? So that is why she begins to first define him from a spiritual perspective. That you're Purusham. That and Prabhupada says that Purusham actually refers to when she is saying Purusham, it's either with Purusham or with Ishwaram. I think when she says Ishwaram, then no, when she says Purusham, then she's referring to Lord Vishnu. She's referring to the fact that Krishna contains Lord Vishnu within him. Right? When she says Antarbahir, then she is referring to Krishna as Paramatma. When she is referring to Alakshayam, she is referring to Krishna as Brahman. So she is saying, you are that Brahman, you are the Paramatma, you are Lord Vishnu. You are the controller of the modes of material nature.
She is actually describing lesser terms instead of going from material to spiritual. First she established it in spiritual and then described other qualities.
Exactly.
Prabhu, in the layman term, we call this reverse engineering.
Reverse engineering, yes. Yeah, familiar with that term. Any other questions? Okay, we'll do the next verse. Maya jvanika channa magyadoksajamayam na lakshase murdrisha nato natyadaro yata. Being beyond the range of limited sense perception, you are the eternally irreproachable factor covered by the curtain of deluding energy. You are invisible to the foolish observer, exactly as an actor dressed as a player is not recognized. So the previous verse ended with Kunti Devi calling Krishna Alakshyam Sarvabhutana, that you are invisible to all, and Antarbahir Avasthitam, that you are present inside and outside. So he is invisible even though he is present everywhere. So the terms themselves, and of course we are reconciled it by saying that Krishna is Achintaya. So in this verse, Kunti Devi is trying to explain that how does Krishna accomplish this? How does he become Alaksham Sarva Bhutanam and at the same time be Antarbahir Avasthitam? How is it that he can be present everywhere? He can be present outside, he can be present inside, and yet he can be invisible to all. So in the translation to this verse, and again this is more from an academic perspective, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he assumes that because the previous verse was spoken by Kunti Devi, then the attributes or what Kunti Devi is speaking in this verse applies to her. And Srila Prabhupada translates the verse as applying to everybody. So it does not really change the meaning of the verse in any way, but just, I guess, just a nuance. So Kunti Devi is saying that the reason that your Alakshya Sarva Bhutanam, while being Antirbahir Avasthitam, is Maya Javanika Achanam, that you are covered by the curtain of Maya. So Krishna might object to the term, and he says that, does that mean that Maya is covering me? So, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he gives this commentary on behalf of Kunti Devi, that it is like the fool who thinks that the sun is covered by a cloud. I see you covered, and this is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur interpretation of the verse that Kunti Devi is considering herself to be covered. I see you covered because my vision is covered by Maya. You are beyond sense knowledge, Adhoksajam. This means that sense knowledge, Akshajam Jnanam, is situated below you, Adha. So he's just breaking up Adhoksajam into Akshajam Jnanam, Adha. That knowledge is situated below you. I do not have the power to contact you, since my knowledge arises from my senses, like the knowledge of a fool, Agya. But even if despicable people like me do not know you, there is no loss for you. You remain unaffected by this because you are Avyayam. So Kunti Devi makes 2 points over here as to why is Krishna invisible. So she says, 1, because he is Adhoksajam, that we cannot perceive him by our material senses, and 2, that he is covered by the curtain of Maya. Now, these are not the only 2 points. She'll make another point later on, but for now she has made these 2 points. So Adhoksajam means one who is beyond material senses. And Prabhupada in the purport makes this point that another difficulty is that those who depend more on the imperfect senses cannot realize him as the Supreme Lord. Such persons are like the modern scientist. They want to know everything by the experimental knowledge, but it is not possible to know the Supreme Person by imperfect experimental knowledge. He is described here in as Adhoksaja, or beyond the range of experimental knowledge. There is a funny story in this context told by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, but since we are running out of time, I'm going to skip it. Prabhupada further on says that this particular description of Krishna is very similar to, or this particular description of devotees or people by Kunti Devi is very similar to the description that Krishna gives in chapter 7, verse 15, where he says Maya Partha Jnana, that for those whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, Krishna is Adhoksaja. Krishna is beyond the direct sense perfection. So in the previous verse, Kunti Devi had said that Krishna is Alakshyam or invisible. In this verse, she's talking about those people for whom Krishna is Alakshya. And she calls them Mula Drisha. Mula Drisha means one who has a vision of a Mula, one who has a vision of a foolish person. Even if Krishna is right in front of them, they will not see Krishna. So that is why, even though Krishna is present outside and inside, which is another way of saying that Krishna is present everywhere, they still do not see Krishna. So Prabhupada's favorite word, one of Prabhupada's favorite words was Mula. And when he used to take a walk in Bombay, then one of his friend, Dr. Patel, would accompany him, and Prabhupada would regularly call him Mula because he was an impersonalist. So Prabhupada once had quoted this verse to him, Manushya Nam Sahashtestu Kashya Yatiti Siddhaya Yadhatamapi Siddhanam Kashya Mam Vedi Tatvata. That out of thousands of men, one endeavors for perfection, and of them only one know me in truth. But Prabhupada translated the Manushya Nam Sahashteshu to out of many thousands of mulas. And Dr. Patel would say that, why are you calling me a mula? It's not nice for a sadhu to call a person by these words. And of course, they had a friendly relationship. And Prabhupada would say that I am not calling you mula. Krishna is calling you Mudha. Why? Because Krishna, he chooses to be hidden by a curtain of Maya. So the curtain is a one-way curtain. It does not cover Krishna. It does not impede the vision of Krishna, but those who are Mudhas are not able to see Krishna. So Krishna again in 7th chapter, 25th verse, Naham Prakash Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavrata Mudo Yamna Bijanati Lokamam Ajamabhyaya. That I'm never manifest to the foolish and the intelligent, for I'm covered by my internal potency. Therefore, they do not know me as I am. So Krishna might say to Kunti Devi that how can you say that you are ignorant? I'm standing directly in front of you and you're praising me. You know that I'm beyond Prakriti. So how can you say that I am invisible? So Kunti Devi then explains the why part. So initially she was explaining that what is the symptom of the Mudha? That they cannot, that they're not able to see Krishna because Krishna is right in front of them. Now she explains how does Krishna accomplish this. So she says, Nata Natyadharo Yatha. That just like an actor in a play cannot be recognized, similarly, Krishna, even though he is present directly in front of you, cannot be recognized. And there are two aspects of understanding this analogy of Nata Natyadharo Nata Natyadhara Yatha, two aspects, two ways of understanding it. So one way is that if somebody goes and watches a play where the actor is a very superlative actor, but the person does not understand the nuances of acting. So for him, there's just an ordinary performance that is going on. Or if a person attends a concert and they're playing a very difficult piece, but the person has no idea about music. So he'll just sit over there, he will think the music is a little pleasing, but next to him is sitting a person who is a connoisseur, who understands music. And then he's appreciating that how these notes are melding together, how the octave is rising. So that is one way, and that is the mood of a agnostic. That they see Krishna, they can see the music, they hear the music, they can see the act, but they get bewildered by all the things that are happening around them, and in that they miss Krishna. So they see how matter is interacting, how matter is evolving, how there is order in matter. They see consciousness. They see how life comes from life. So they're seeing all that is happening, but because they are not trained to understand music, you have to be trained in music. But because they are not trained in the science of spirituality, to them it is just happening. It is just happening because of some reason that they cannot perceive. The other is that a person, he looks at a person who's acting, and then he's unable to distinguish between the actor and the character. And that is the mood of an atheist. The atheist, they don't even see Krishna's presence over there. All they see is the actor. They get completely absorbed that this is the play that is happening, this actor is doing this, or he's dying, or he's fighting. That's the only thing that they see. They never step back and say that behind this actor there is a person who is different from the actor. So Kunti Devi is making this point through this analogy that that even though you're all around, but there are people who are atheists and there are people who are agnostics who are not able to see. And the acharyas say that Krishna, even though he understands, but yet he makes himself available. How does he make himself available to the atheists? He makes himself available in matter. So like in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verses 8 onwards, where Krishna says, I'm the taste of water, the light of sun and moon, the syllable Om, the sound in the ether. So these are things that the atheists, they can see. They can see around them, and thus they can, when Krishna says, I am that. So there is an actor that is acting, and then Krishna says, I am that actor. So I am in this movie, I am this actor. And then the atheist say, okay, so that is Krishna. Or for the agnostics, Krishna says that you come and see me in my deity form. You come and hear me in the mantras and the Vedas. You come and experience me in your very existence, and thus you will make advancements. So because the agnostics are a little bit more discriminating, they can see matter and spirit, but they're unable to establish the tattva. So the real difference between, so there may be two people standing and watching the play or listening to the music. The real difference is Krishna Tattva, Jnana Vigyan. That because the devotee has Jnana and Vigyan of Krishna Tattva, they can understand that behind all this is Krishna. And the atheists and the agnostics, they lack it. So they either get bewildered by it or they don't even notice it. So to summarize this verse, Kunti Devi is saying that there are 4 reasons that Krishna is very difficult to understand. He is adhoksajam. He is covered by his own energy. He's covered by Maya. We are mudhas. We are not very intelligent, and the pastimes of Krishna are difficult to comprehend. And why is Kunti Devi specifically saying that the pastimes of Krishna are difficult to understand? Because she herself is actually experiencing that. So I'm not getting the reference for that, but there's a reference that why is Kunti Devi saying that pastimes are difficult? That you protected Parikshit Maharaj, but you killed Abhimanyu. You protected the Pandavas, but you allowed the Up Pandavas to be killed. You protected Parikshit Maharaj in the womb, and of course this is later, but you allowed him to be die by the curse of a immature Brahman. You came to say that you are here to protect the pious, yet you allowed Bhishma and Drona to be killed. So the Acharya said that is the reason why Kunti Devi herself is saying that your pastimes are difficult to understand. So 4 reasons again, that he is covered by the curtain of Maya, he is adoksajam, beyond our material senses. His pastimes are difficult to comprehend, and we do not have, our material intelligence is limited. And there are numerous instances of Krishna standing right in front. So both Vibhishan and Ravan were seeing Lord Ram, but completely different moods. Both Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu were seeing Lord Narsingadev, but completely different moods. Both Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the other devotees were seeing the deity of Lord Jagannath, but completely different moods. So the presence was there the same, but the way they were being received was different. So Prabhupada quotes this verse, Athasa Krishna Nama Adina Bhavet Grah Indriya Seva Mukhe Jivadu Swayameva Spratidya. So Prabhupada said that does not mean that just because he is beyond the material senses, we say that, okay, we can't do much about it. Let's move on. And Krishna says, Prabhupada says, no, I understand Atasa Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahan Indriya. That by your material senses you cannot understand Krishna's name, etc. Seva mukhe jivadu swayameva spradhyate. That if you serve Krishna, seva mukhe jivadu, beginning with your tongue, swayameva spradhyate. That by himself he manifests. By himself the curtain gets lifted, and by automatically our material sense becomes spiritual. Okay, I'll stop over here. My apologies, I went over time, but I didn't want to break in the middle of the verse. It would have been difficult for me to start again. So we can stop here and see if there is any discussion.
Prabhu, just to mention one thing, to create even more confusion, Krishna left a body at the Prabhas Kshetra when he left for the spiritual world, to go back to Goloka Vrindavan, to create more confusion to the atheists and people that don't want to understand.
Krishna left what, Prabhu?
He left a body.
Left a body. Yes, that is true. Yeah. Yeah, it is said that Krishna, he performs his pastimes to inspire the devotees, to attract the non-devotees, and also to bewilder them. Because he also wants to have them increase their faith in not Krishna. So that's why he does these pastimes, to bewilder those who want to be bewildered.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I felt that today's class is a little bit dense. Probably I may need to hear it again to fully grasp it, or at least a little bit better grasping. But overall, like you summarized, that is helped me in the end, like why we are having difficulty in understanding. And one question, Prabhuji, like it is not directly related to the verse, but you gave the example of how Bhishma Deva being pious but still left Krishna not protected in one sense. Recently, I'm having a discussion with one of my little bit elderly, not I would say friend, but he was outrightly criticizing Bhishma Deva, that he is projected as a great man, but he's not really. How can he be just standing, like seeing a movie, like when somebody was stripped naked, trying to be stripped naked before him, like that. He was little bit challenging. So I could only defend this much, that to even if it is Bhishma Dev, when he is standing on the side of adharma, like he will be, he need to face consequences. But I could not defend in much better way, like, and I because of his mood too, like I was incapacitated to an extent. How do we deal such kind of arguments? And my reasoning also is not sufficient. I could only say that Bhishma is not right at that point, because I could not say super soul made him not to speak kind of arguments. Probably the other person is not ready to listen. So how do we deal such situations?
I guess there is. Do you want to mute your? Thank you, Prabhu. So I guess there are a couple of ways of approaching this. One is very specific to the situation. Depends on the mood of the person who is saying. Many times there's no point in engaging in these debates, because they generate more heat than light, and they're a waste of time. So we can just say Hare Krishna and move on. General explanation given by Acharyas is that the reason Bhishma Deva stood on the side was because, and Bhishma Deva himself says that because he had eaten the grains of Duryodhana, which is his way of saying that he had loyalty And Bhishma Dev had also taken the pledge of always being loyal to the throne of Hastinapur. And Dhritarashtra was sitting on it, and Dhritarashtra was not doing anything. So that is why he also did not. Do anything. So one way to understand that can of course be refuted, but that's how Bhishma Dev actually explains that this is actually in the Mahabharata that when Bhishma was giving his instructions to Arjun while lying on an arrow of beds, then Draupadi, she was the daughter-in-law, so she was standing by his feet. And Yudhishthir was asking all these questions, and Bhishma Dev was answering. And then his glance fell on Draupadi. And Draupadi had this look of scorn on her face. So Bhishma Dev stopped and asked her that, what's the reason for this expression? And Draupadi said that now you're speaking such big philosophy about righteousness and karma and piety, etc. What happened to all that when I was being disrobed in front of you? And Bhishma said that my intelligence was contaminated by the grains of the Kurus. So again, he was making the same point that because, and could be understood by several ways, but because he had accepted their service, he had accepted support from them. Same reason Dronacharya also, right? Dronacharya was a Brahman, but because he had accepted support from them, he was obligated to follow through. Okay, any other question?
Rishi, do you mind, like if you have time, then mentioning that pastime, the Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj's pastime, funny pastime that you said you...
Oh, sure. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's stories are funny in the way that you have to look for the humor in them. So he tells the story about a rich man who was very rich, and once he had this whim that I want to see the sun at night. So he had, as rich big men have, he had a lot of followers. So they said, no problem, we will show you sun at night. So one group of followers, they called him in the middle of the night, and they had lit a huge number of candles. And the rich man said, this is not the sun, this is just light from the candles. Another group of his friends, they were more technologically advanced, so they had put a number of light bulbs. So he looked at that and he said, this is not the sun, this is just light bulbs. Then a third friend who was wise, he said, yes, I will show you the sun at night. So at night he came and he said, come out, I'll show you the sun. So he said, okay. He says, where is the sun? He said, just wait for a moment. So he waited for some time and he said, where is the sun? He said, just wait for some time. So in this way he waited and the sun came. He said, see the sun? The sun has come at night. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati makes this point that for some things you have to wait. It does not matter what you want. They will only appear when the time is right. So in this context, Bhaktisiddhanta's story is applied that the darshan of Krishna, the devotees' audience of a Krishna, will never happen on the terms of a devotee. It will happen on Krishna's terms when the time is right. So we might study the philosophy, we might try and understand the tattva, but nothing will guarantee that the sun will come up at the night time. It will only come when the time is right, and that time is determined by Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, so we'll end here a little over time. So we'll
Prabhuji,
meet.
Do you mind staying back for a couple minutes after the class?
Yes, of course.
Thank
Yeah. Okay. Vanchakalpatarubhayaschet kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.